Folks, Australia is facing many political, economic, and social crises at the moment. But having hosted this show now for almost 5 years, I'm convinced that one of the biggest moral and ethical issues we face is the way that we're handling kids who are presenting as gender dysphoric, boys who think they are girls and girls who think they are boys, maybe just for a little while. It's true that a small percentage of children may suffer genuine gender dysphoria, but there are two things that are clearly not true. The first is that the right treatment path for these kids is most often surgical and drug intervention. The science simply is not there to back up that view. And the second thing that's not true is that every child who presents with gender dysphoria actually has it. There are many other things that could be going on. And we now have the issue, the added issue, if you like, of social contagion. It's become a little bit of a fad among kids to self-describe as non-binary these days. It's a little bit cooler than just being ordinary. People are afraid to speak out about this, as they're afraid to speak out about so many things that might offend the modern radical left for fear of being labelled transphobic, sexist, or racist these days, and even cancelled. But the promotion, and that's what the Australian approach of gender affirming care is, it's a promotion of surgical and drug treatments for kids, is actually scientifically unproven to be beneficial. And one study suggests it's even potentially dangerous. So the promotion of this gender affirming model of care used by the Australian health departments and governments, even over the wishes of parents in some cases, amounts to what many genuinely feel is a form of state-sanctioned child abuse. And that's something that we cannot stay silent on, no matter what the personal, political, or financial cost might be. What makes this all the more concerning is that the case that we're going to discuss today is not happening, as you might expect, under a left-wing Labor government. It's happening in the only Liberal National Party majority-run state in this country, Queensland. And it concerns the career persecution of not a minor figure, not a junior government medical staffer, but a highly skilled senior medical specialist. So this story has far, far more serious implications than just its own apparent surface injustice. This story speaks to deep systemic problems in our country in terms of the rights of parents, the rights of doctors, and the way that the health authorities and the main organisation responsible for licensing doctors in this country, AHPRA, has become politicised. This is the story of Dr. Jillian Spencer, a Queensland child psychiatrist who in April 2023 was suspended. Then, in June of the same year, was informed by the Executive Director of Clinical Services at Children's Health, Dominic Tate, this man, that disciplinary proceedings against her had begun on the basis that she was guilty of misconduct. Why? Because she criticised the model of care at the Queensland Children's Hospital Gender Clinic. Dr. Spencer joins us now on the other side. Jillian, thank you very much for coming in and thank you for your time today. Let's get your story from the beginning. Let's start back in 2023. What was the essence of your complaint about the gender clinic at Queensland Health? What did you believe was wrong with the way that they were treating cases of kids presenting with gender dysphoria?
Yeah, well, my story actually starts in 2022 because for about a year before I was stood down, I was raising concerns in the hospital. What I was seeing was, well, all through my training and up until about 2017, 2018, I'd never seen any children presenting with gender distress. And then once the gender clinic was established, we just had this massive uptick. And obviously through COVID, that escalation was enormous. So I kept seeing all these adolescents presenting with gender distress, and they were the type of teenagers who we'd seen previously who would have self-harm or they would have anorexia or other mental health conditions, but now they were all coming and claiming a trans identity. And those children were troubled, confused, traumatized, often had developmental conditions like autism. And in child psychiatry, we always do what's called a formulation, which is trying to understand why the young person's presenting in this way at this time. And we understand that with maturity, a lot of problems will ease.
Mm.
So all those principles of child psychiatry were just out the window when the kid went to the gender clinic, because the gender clinic would start from the premise that this child is trans or gender diverse and needs affirmation. So right from the start, they'd be affirmed in their claimed gender identity. All the issues would be put to the side because they believe in this model whereby if you affirm someone, any depression, anxiety, or other problems will fade away because of the affirmation. They believe in it so much.
I'm fascinated by this because the reason I'm fascinated by it is because I can't believe the level of stupidity of that. Like, how could it be that people who are educated in psychology, they're not psychiatrists, they're not doctors, medical doctors like you are, but they're psychologists, a lot of them. They've been trained, right? They know, I mean, there are psychiatrists as well, but they know that you're supposed to, I mean, it's a fundamental science principle, right? You don't jump to one conclusion. You look and you keep an open mind until you're clear on what it is. And there are many conditions that it could be other than gender dysphoria. So they should know that there's this bias that's obviously going to be built in, right? They should have that professional capability. It amazes me that they can't see that themselves. Like, what level of intellect are these people at? What level of professional education are they at that they can't even get that basic principle of science?
Oh, well, people that believe in gender ideology come from all walks of life, but I think they're even more common amongst that professional class. And so, for example, the College of Psychiatry, Royal Australian New Zealand College of Psychiatrists, is completely captured by gender ideology. So it's rife throughout.
But it's the College of Psychiatrists. Like, these are the people you would think would know. Like, hang on a minute, we better not get caught into a one train of thought, right?
Well, the College of Physicians is captured too, and the College of General Practice. So it's terrifying. Incredible.
It's terrifying is what it is, right? That there could be that, like, a social contagion potential exists. And these people are the most educated people in our community. They're the ones that should be going, we better make sure we don't have a social contagion occurring.
We better make sure we're not harming
children. Of that level of intellect. It's just blows me away.
It
terrifies me.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So you're in this environment. You're a psychiatrist who's going, hang on a minute. Science, guys, and also Hippocratic Oath, first do no harm.
Yes.
Right? There's a whole bunch of things we need to consider here. There's a million different interpretations or diagnoses that are potentially exist. You're the Dr. House in this environment, faced with a bunch of ideologues.
Yes.
And you're the one being ostracized.
Yes.
So how did you start to manifest your complaints? You were doing small things, or you were just rejecting. You weren't even doing anything. You were just rejecting the things that they were doing.
Sort of. I found working in the hospital really difficult. It got quite emotionally difficult because I really formed the view that we were harming children, and I couldn't believe it. I had previously thought we were all playing the same game, which was with every child that we see, we wanted to get the best outcome for them. And then it was like all of a sudden we were playing a different game, which was that we had to affirm, and this wasn't the best for the child, but we had to pretend it was. I couldn't believe it. And I was walking past the reception area with the massive transgender pride flags every day, and I was seeing everyone with pronouns in their email signature. We had an education session where I found out the hospital was running chest binder fitting sessions for girls. There was a whole lot of information coming through to me, which was just really making me very, very upset. And so I did try and do little things. So, for example, I changed my email signature to adult human female. I bought 50 of Abigail Schreier's book, which is on this topic, and I sent it out to all my colleagues with a little personal note saying, I'm really worried about this. Can you tell me if you're worried? If you're not, tell me, because I want to be less worried. I tried to really make it personal. And then I took down the transgender pride flags after consultation with the managers in the area. So I did a lot of little things.
You didn't just take them down. My understanding was it was, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I've been told the story that you actually, it was Pride Month. That was the excuse for them being up in the first place.
Oh, no.
And then you took them down at the end of Pride Month, or no? It was just...
They'd been up for months and months, probably more than 6 months or... Yes. And so I started talking to the managers in the area saying, look, I really think we need to have a neutral waiting room, and I'm happy for the transgender pride flag to be the same size as the Aboriginal flag and the Torres Strait Islander flag, but I don't think that should be having these, massive outsized ones. And the managers said, well, they went up for a pride, a celebration, a long time ago. They never got taken down. They're not hospital property. They're supplied by Minus 18, which is a charity. So they thought that it would be okay for me to take them down, and I did, but then that got escalated to the hospital executive, and that's when the hospital executive were really upset and started clamping down on me.
So, okay, so you're the problem.
Yeah.
You're the annoying one at work that's just not going along with the culture.
No.
Because the culture is inappropriately biased in one direction.
Yes.
We're not talking about a private clinic here. That's the other thing we need to point out as taxpayers. We are paying for this.
Yes.
And I don't like this being done in my name, frankly.
No.
And I'm pretty open-minded. You know, I'm pretty much a little bit liberal. I like people to have their own right to decide what their sexuality is and what their, you know, even what their gender is if they're an adult.
Yes, adults fine.
But the problem is we're dealing with children here. And so it does become extremely questionable. Just for those of us who are not 100%, the pattern of care here, or the basis of care, the system is established and follows a UK system. Is that right? That was developed at the Tavistock Clinic in London. That clinic now shut down.
Yes.
Because of the Cass inquiry that happened last year that came out that said the science isn't there.
Yes.
And they had similar problems. They shut it down. Other clinics around the world have shut down as a result of that inquiry. But we haven't.
Yes. And we keep being told this incorrect information by government ministers, not in our state, but elsewhere, saying that our gender clinics are different to the Tavistock because our clinics provide holistic multidisciplinary care, which happens to be exactly what the politicians in the UK said about the Tavistock Clinic before the scandal got so big that they couldn't ignore it. So it's absolutely not true. What happened is the clinicians from the Royal Children's Hospital in Melbourne went to the Tavistock to get their model and bring it back, and then they seeded it in Melbourne and then around Australia. So our gender clinics are operating on exactly the same model, the affirmation model, and have exactly the same problems.
Now, this was all happening to you under a Queensland Labor government of Anastasia Palaszczuk.
Yes.
And the Health Minister of Queensland, Shannon Fentiman, who is still, I understand, the shadow health person, or she's still in the opposition front.
She's still in opposition. I don't pay attention to her.
Now we have a Liberal National Party government in Queensland. Queensland's the only state in Australia that has a majority Liberal government. So everything's better now.
Well, I must say they have done a wonderful thing in stopping new prescriptions of puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones to minors in public services in Queensland. That's exactly the right thing. We do have ongoing issues, and I do believe in
applauding politicians for doing the right thing. So that's good before we start to
can all sleep better at night, really, in Queensland.
But you still don't have a job.
Yeah, I'm still suspended 2 years and 3 months later. The other issue is that the gender clinic's still running and still affirming, but they're just sending kids out to private providers to get these puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones. And OzPath, the transgender organisation in Australia, has raised money to pay for puberty blockers because they're very expensive. They're about $12,000 a year. So the pathway is still there for children in Queensland.
Are all of the parents, are these parents who are aligned with their child's position and are happy to go along with this? Or we've seen situations where parental desire is being overridden. Is that happening?
I think now that the ban's in place in public services, it's not getting overridden in parents that are strong and able to put their foot down. But what happens with parents is that sometimes there's various factors that weaken them because they're scared of losing their kid.
Well, they're worried sick.
Yeah, they're scared of their child becoming estranged because children get fed this message on social media that if their parents don't affirm them, then their parents must be hate-filled bigots. And it's often vulnerable families that I think would affirm now because they don't feel able to stand up and say, no, you're the child, I'm the parent. This isn't happening. You have to wait till you're an adult and we'll work with you to figure out, why you're feeling this way and see if it can be improved. So sometimes separated parents are vulnerable because one parent will affirm and one parent won't, and then the other parent's on the outer and scared of.
Oh my God! Then the custody ties into family law. Oh my God!
And I just mentioned too that child safety kids are all under the policy of the Department of Child Safety, which is to affirm. So these kids that are the most traumatised, if they have gender distress, then all their carers will have to affirm them. So I find that absolutely disturbing that's going on.
And there's a whole bunch of obviously other conditions it could be. There are also situations where parents already don't have a lot of right to access to medical records of children and things like that, especially in mental health. So we've got some really serious issues. Okay, I'd like you to stay, if you don't mind,
Thank you.
Jillian, and we'll come back in a moment and talk more to Dr. Jillian Spencer about this very, very important issue in a moment. Did you know that with a virtual private network or VPN on your computer, tablet, or phone, you can log into your favorite streaming services like Netflix from home with an internet address from anywhere in the world and watch all the shows that they offer in other countries, including stuff in different languages? And using a VPN to route all your internet traffic through a third-party server means that big corporations and big government can't spy on you. If you sign up now with private internet access, we think they're the best VPN servers out there. As a viewer of The Other Side, you can get 83% off the price of your subscription and get online for less than $3 a month. Check it out right now. Go to piavpn.com/otherside. That's piavpn.com/otherside. It's a great service, a rock bottom price, and supporting our sponsor, you are helping to keep The Other Side going and growing. That was a segment clip from our weekly Friday night news show, The Other Side, which you can watch in full by simply going to YouTube and searching up The Other Side Australia. Then you'll find our full shows playlist. You can also find all of our full shows and our segments on our own website, othersidetv.com.au. That's othersidetv.com.au. Help us build a whole new Aussie media by joining us over there and signing up for the exclusive side.